I always knew that ordering weird things on darknet forums at 3 in the morning was a gamble, but for the sake of good content, I was willing to take the risk. On one of the closed marketplaces, I stumbled upon a listing without any photos, simply titled Abyss and Zenith, with a note stating that delivery is made strictly in person and is non-refundable. A couple of days later, my doorbell rang. An absolutely silent courier in a deep hood stood on the threshold. He just wordlessly placed 2 thermal containers in front of me and vanished into the stairwell. The first box was covered in a thick layer of frost, literally radiating a grave-like cold, and the plastic around the edges had turned white and cracked from the extremely low temperatures. The second container, on the contrary, was warm to the touch, and through its matte walls, a soft, pulsating golden glow shone through, spreading a pleasant feeling of coziness across my skin. I set up the cameras, turned on the main light, and started the unboxing, not even suspecting that this moment would divide my life into before and the apocalypse. When I opened the ice-cold box, something resembling a clot of primordial darkness emerged from the thick white vapor rolling across the table. It was a tiny, deep-sea anglerfish. Its body looked like a lumpy piece of hardened magma. Its massive, tubular mouth was lined with rows of transparent, needle-like teeth, constantly dripping thick, viscous slime, and a long appendage swayed on its forehead with a blindingly bright, neon blue lantern at the end. It didn't even have time to properly look around before it furiously snapped its jaws a millimeter away from my finger. From the second, warm container, a completely different creature floated out slowly and gracefully. It was an ethereal axolotl levitating in the air. Its translucent body glowed from within with warm sunlight. Its fluffy gills resembled a crown of golden rays, and instead of falling onto the table, it simply hovered in the air, undulating smoothly as if swimming through invisible waves, and immediately rubbed trustingly against my palm, leaving a sensation of light static electricity on my skin. The contrast was incredible. Absolute chthonic horror and angelic cuteness in one room. I decided to create the perfect conditions for them to show you how these two would grow. For the axolotl, I built a floating magnetic sphere, inside of which I installed soft ultraviolet lamps. It spent whole days there, absorbing the light and radiating a calmness that made even the air in the room feel cleaner. But the anglerfish was a hassle. I ordered a heavy-duty armored aquarium made of thick acrylic, installed massive industrial chillers that hummed day and night, keeping the water temperature just above freezing. Feeding this monster became a separate art form. I bought the best marbled beef, cut it into perfectly even cubes, and carefully, using long bamboo chopsticks, lowered them into the icy water. The anglerfish reacted instantly. Its blue lantern flashed, its tubular mouth opened, creating a massive micro whirlpool, and the cube of meat disappeared into that toothy abyss in a fraction of a second, leaving only a trail of tiny bubbles in the water. The first few weeks were absolutely perfect, cozy and wholesome, but soon the difference in their development started to get scary. The axolotl grew slowly, but its intelligence was astounding. It learned to understand my gestures, reacted to the tone of my voice, and sometimes its golden glow changed to an alarming red pulsation when it flew too close to its neighbor's tank. The anglerfish, on the other hand, grew at an extreme rate. Its jaws became massive, the spikes on its back hardened, and the neon lure began to shine so brightly that at night it cast sinister blue shadows on the walls of my bedroom. I started noticing weird things: house bugs, birds that flew in from the street, and even the neighborhood cats outside the window would sit motionless for hours, mesmerized by this blue glow. The anglerfish wasn't just swimming anymore. It would hover in one spot by the glass, slowly swaying its lure, continuously watching me with its pale, blind eyes. The incident happened on a regular Tuesday, when the cozy atmosphere of my home collapsed once and for all. I ordered food delivery. The courier rang the doorbell, but when I walked out into the hallway, he wasn't there. I found him in the room with the aquariums. The guy was standing as if in a trance, his hands and face pressed against the thick armored glass. And on the other side, the anglerfish, which had grown to the size of a large dog, was emitting a low-frequency, pulsating hum with its lure, mimicking the sound of the doorbell. Before I could shout, the monster jerked back and slammed its entire body forward with monstrous force. The armored acrylic cracked into a spiderweb of fractures and shattered to pieces with a deafening crash. Hundreds of liters of freezing water burst out, sweeping away everything in their path. The courier was thrown against the wall. I fell to the floor, expecting to see the creature thrashing on the carpet. suffocating without water. But instead, I saw something that defied all laws of physics. The anglerfish didn't fall. The slime covering its body began to evaporate rapidly, turning into a thick, icy fog. The creature smoothly pushed off the floor and swam through the air right in my living room, as if the dense atmosphere of the apartment had become its personal ocean. Its maw, lined with needles, opened wide, letting out a deafening roar that shattered the light bulbs. And then it simply smashed through the window frame, along with a concrete chunk of the wall, and vanished into the night sky, leaving behind only the smell of ozone and seaweed. Exactly half a year passed. The world as we knew it ceased to exist. Cities turned into ruins, covered in eternal, icy frost, thick fog. The sun no longer broke through the dense layers of gray clouds, and humanity was plunged into darkness. I survived in the remnants of my apartment, warmed only by the soft light of my grown axolotl, which was now the size of a large eagle and never left my side. Another abnormally dark night fell. I was standing by the breach in the wall, looking out at the ruined metropolis, when the sky suddenly began to lighten. From over the horizon, the moon rose slowly and ominously, but there was something wrong with it. It wasn't white or yellow. It was pulsating with a piercing, hypnotic neon blue light. The ground beneath my feet trembled, and gravity started going crazy. Chunks of asphalt, abandoned cars, and building debris began to slowly rise into the air. I grabbed my binoculars and looked up at the sky. That wasn't the moon. The thing hanging in the stratosphere was my pet. A colossal anglerfish, the size of an entire continent, hovered over the planet, its lumpy skin blending with the blackness of space. And on the giant fishing rod protruding from its forehead hung the real, stolen from orbit moon, transformed into a deadly lure. Its light zombified millions of people below, forcing them to step out of their shelters straight toward the colossal gravitational whirlpool created by the slowly opening abyss of its maw. The air rang with tension. The sky was tearing apart from a monstrous low-frequency hum, and at that moment, when it seemed like Earth was doomed, my axolotl broke free from my hands. It soared high above the roofs, absorbing the pitiful remnants of daylight piercing through the clouds. Right before my eyes, a process of incredible mutation began. Its golden body erupted in blinding white flames, growing exponentially. The ethereal pet evolved into a giant, writhing plasma dragon amphibian made of pure, concentrated sunlight. A wave of unbearable heat washed over the city, melting the ice and evaporating the fog. The anglerfish's gravitational anomaly collided with the axolotl's energy field. The golden dragon let out a roar, sounding like a solar flare, and darted into space at hypersonic speed. The collision of the two titans shook the very fabric of reality. From below, all I could see was an epic battle between two primordial elements. The absolute, all-consuming darkness with its moon lure against the all-conquering, scorching light. The sky exploded with flashes of blue and gold. The clouds parted from shockwaves of unprecedented power. And then, there was an explosion of such force that the world was momentarily plunged into a ringing, white void. I squeezed my eyes shut, feeling the shockwave knock me off my feet. When my vision finally returned, the sky was clear. The mutilated city was silent. High in the sky, in its usual orbit, hung the moon. But now, it wasn't cold. It emitted a warm, steady, golden glow, as if my axolotl had merged with it, becoming an eternal protective barrier against the gloom of space. I'm sitting now amidst the wreckage of my studio, brushing concrete dust off my camera. The experiment with deep-sea darknet pets definitely got out of hand, and I probably should take a break from ordering things. But right now, in the silence of the ruined city, my miraculously surviving front door rang once again. I opened it, and on the threshold, right on the concrete dust, lay a massive meteorite covered in pulsating crimson veins, emitting a quiet, rhythmic heartbeat, and attached to it was a black tag with a single inscription, Level 2.